Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the THW NHL News and Rumors Rundown. My name is Jim Parsons. I'm here with HockeyWriters.com. Lots to go through as we get over the All-Star break in the NHL. We're headed towards the trade deadline on March 21st. We're about 6 weeks away, so we're not that far away from all the action really kind of picking up here in the NHL. So we have lots to talk about in that respect, but a couple things to let you know before we get into the news. If you want to follow the Hockey Writers, you can do so in a few ways. Obviously, thehockeywriters.com. You can go there. You can follow us on Twitter at The Hockey Writer. You can go to facebook.com/The Hockey Writers. Check out the YouTube channel. Sign up for the newsletter. All sorts of ways to get the content that we're talking about here this week. But let's get into some of the biggest stories of the week. We'll talk about Claude Giroux. He really stood out at the All-Star game this weekend. He won the MVP award. Lots of talk about Giroux at the All-Star competition, whether or not he was going to be traded by the Philadelphia Flyers, if there's any talk about that. He didn't say anything regarding that other than to say that there's time, he can make his decision later on, and he's not really thinking about it right now. But there are a handful of teams that are rumored to be in this: Boston, Calgary, Minnesota, Colorado, all kind of kicking around Giroux. It's a salary cap thing. This is what's going to be the major break here. Who's going to work on the salary cap the best? Who's going to be able to fit him in? Will the Flyers retain some salary here? That's the real question that we're surround Giroux. And of course, he's got the no move, no trade clause, which means he can control where he's going. So it'll all depend on whether or not he wants to stay a Flyer, retire a Flyer, or if he wants to go to another team and have a chance at a Stanley Cup. Lots to talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs, about what they're going to do with the deadline when it comes to Josh Manson, who we mentioned last week. Sounds like he's not willing to go to Toronto. He's got him on their no-trade list, meaning that he's not keen on the idea. It's not impossible, but he doesn't want to go to Canada. He's not really keen on the COVID restrictions. So it doesn't look like Toronto's going to be circling around Manson too much unless there's some sort of change in the weather there. But Kyle Dubas did talk to the media about what he plans on doing headed towards the deadline. He wants to see his team in full before he makes any real decisions or commits to anything. But he is looking to make trades if he does need to improve the team. He's looking at players with term and as much term as possible. He did not commit to giving Josh Hosang an NHL contract because he's not sure how many contracts he can actually hand out. And he'll see. It's just a matter of where they're at, what they're doing, and he knows it's a dogfight in the Atlantic Division, so he's going to have to probably do something. He just wants to see his team first, see how much runway he can give them before he makes up his mind. Lots of talk in Montreal about what they're going to be doing. Everybody expects they're going to be heavy sellers at the deadline, but how heavy is still the real question. Ben Sherratt, Brett Kulak, those guys are going to probably be moved. Whether or not Jeff Petrie, who Darren Dreger reports, there's a lot of interest in the league around Jeff Petrie, but the Canadiens aren't planning on just giving him away. Whether it's Josh Anderson, Brendan Gallagher, Tyler Toffoli, those guys are probably not going to be moved. The Canadiens have said that they are not going scorched earth here. They're not going to do a full rebuild. They're only going to be selling some players if the return is right and it makes sense for the team. And Gordon's got a history of not breaking it all down. He did so in New York, and they've turned around pretty quickly with their rebuild and done quite well. Lots to talk about Jack Eichel in Las Vegas. Coach Pete DeBoer said that he is almost cleared for full contact. He's practicing with the team, almost ready to go, which puts him right around that 3-month window that they thought of when he had his surgery initially. So what's the Vegas Golden Knights going to do? They're probably going to be making some moves here, and they can't just waive everybody because they don't have enough contracts to go around, or they'll be over the limit. So if Evgeny Dadonov, Riley Smith, those are guys that you should probably watch for. Names out of Vegas, $5 million a piece on the cap hit there. Vegas is going to have to do something. There's just not enough room for everybody in there. And if Eichel's ready to come back, then that's probably happening sooner than later. Talking Chicago, it sounds like Peter Chiarelli is on their radar for the next GM position. In fact, they reached out to him and said, please apply, and then did an interview with him just recently. There are some reports that this could be almost done, that the Blackhawks are probably going to hire Peter Chiarelli as their next general manager. So we'll keep our eyes on this story, but it's interesting development out of Chicago where things just never seem to quiet down for the Blackhawks. Finally, JT Miller and the Vancouver Canucks. Still some talk about whether or not the Canucks want to actually trade JT Miller or not. There's some talk they might want to extend him on a new contract. And if the offers are good enough, right now it sounds like I think it's the Bruins and the Rangers that are kind of teetering back and forth here on Miller, and they're interested in him. If Vancouver gets a big enough haul, they'll probably move him. If not, they're probably going to hang on to him, and they might even extend him. So we'll keep our eyes on this JT Miller talk, but still lots of other names coming out of Vancouver, Connor Garland, things like that. So we'll watch for all of that as well. All right, guys, that's going to do it for this week. Don't forget, you can check out thehockeywriters.com. News and rumors every day. We're going to have all of the names and all of the deals that were being talked about in the NHL, headed all the way up to trade deadline day. So keep it tuned in on that, and we'll talk to you guys right away. keep it posted on the YouTube channel. We'll have more videos as they come available.